9 Saucy Facts about Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles. Prince Charles. 1. At 67 on November 14, he is the longest-serving heir apparent in British history, having held the position since his grandfather George VI died in 1952. He is also the oldest person to be next in line to the throne since Sophia of Hanover, the heir presumptive to Queen Anne, who died in 1714 at the age of 83. 2. In 1980, he published a children's story, The Old Man of Lochnagar, which is about an old man who goes to live in a cave to seek peace and quiet and a hot bath. The cave is near Balmoral, in Scotland. The book was made into an animated short film by the BBC, a musical play, and a ballet staged by the National Youth Ballet, which premiered at Sadler's Wells Theatre, London, in 2007. 3. In the 1970s, Charles expressed an interest in becoming Governor-General of Australia. He had lived here earlier, during 2 terms at Geelong Grammar in 1966. However, the 1970s was a time of political upheaval in Australia with the dismissal of the Whitlam government, and nothing came of the idea. Prince Charles was believed to be disappointed and reported to have said, "What are you supposed to think when you are prepared to do something to help and you are told you are not wanted?" 4. Before either of his marriages, Prince Charles proposed to his cousin Amanda Knatchbull, the granddaughter of his great-uncle Lord Louis Mountbatten. But Amanda had suffered the loss of her grandfather, her paternal grandmother and her youngest brother Nicholas in a bomb attack, and she was now reluctant to join the royal family. 5. Prince Charles has long been associated with such causes as the environment and naturopathy. On August 27, 2012, he addressed the World Conservation Congress, supporting the view that grazing animals are needed to keep soils and grassland productive. "I have been particularly fascinated, for example, by the work of a remarkable man called Alan Savory in Zimbabwe and other semi-arid areas, who has argued for years against the prevailing expert view that is the simple numbers of cattle that drive overgrazing and cause fertile land to become desert. On the contrary, as he has since shown so graphically, the land needs the presence of feeding animals and their droppings for the cycle to be complete, so that soils and grassland areas stay productive. Such that, if you take grazers off the land and lock them away in vast feedlots, the land dies." 6. Jomo Kenyatta was the founder of Kenya. He died in 1978 and at his funeral, Prince Charles blatantly ignored the proffered hand of Idi Amin, the ruthless, tyrannical and brutal president of Uganda. Amin could do nothing but turn away in embarrassment. 7. It has been reported that Charles has read only one novel. He read Tolstoy's Anna Karenina as a young man, and has since declined to read another. A friend said he liked it, but not enough to explore further. He always wanted to stick to history or essays. 8. Prince Charles made a much-remembered appearance on the marathon British television serial Coronation Street. To honour the Manchester television studio's 40th birthday, Charles made a visit. This event was incorporated into a live episode which was watched by 17 million viewers across the United Kingdom. 9. He is a father, a grandfather, and also a godfather to 32, including Crown Prince Pavlos of Greece and his daughter, Princess Maria Olympia of Greece. 10. His sport has always been polo. He played his first game in 1963. But he gave up in 2005, after suffering a broken arm in 1990, being knocked unconscious in 2001, and various other calamities over 42 years. 11. For his 21st birthday, Charles's parents gave him an Aston Martin sports car. 41 years later it was in this car that his son, Prince William, drove his new wife Kate out of Buckingham Palace after their wedding there in 2011. In 1968 he bought a cobalt blue MGC GT. 12. Charles is almost always seen dressed in an immaculately well-tailored suit. This was recognized by Esquire magazine in 2009 when he was named Best Dressed Man in the World. He has more than 60 handmade suits and his collar stays are made of gold or silver. His shoelaces are said to be ironed by a valet whenever he removes his handmade shoes. 13. The prince is said to be guilty about his enormous wealth. He is patron of more than 400 charities, which help people from many different backgrounds including young people, unemployed people, the elderly, people who live in communities in the countryside and homeless people. The first charity the prince set up was the Prince's Trust in 1976. To create the charity he used money he was given when he left the Navy. 14. His hobbies include watercolor painting, organic gardening at his Highgrove home, hedge laying, polo, writing books, acting, driving sports cars, music. He used to play the cello. Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall. 15. She was the first child of Major Bruce Shand and his wife the Honourable Rosalind Shand. Camilla Rosemary Shand was born at King's College Hospital, London, on July 17, 1947, 16 months before her future husband Prince Charles. 16. Apart from being a major, her father was a successful wine merchant, and also Vice Lord Lieutenant of East Sussex. From a very early age, Camilla Shand socialized with members of Britain's royal circles. Camilla attended Dumrules School, a co-ed school in Sussex. She then went on to fashionable Queensgate School in South Kensington. She also attended Montfertel Finishing School in Switzerland and studied at the Institut Britannique in Paris. 17. While her husband is known for his watercolors, Camilla is an oil painter. She also likes watching television, reading, fishing, walking in the countryside and gardening. 18. Camilla Parker Bowles has 2 children from her first marriage to Brigadier Andrew Parker Bowles. She has a son named Tom, who is a food writer, and a daughter named Laura, an art curator. She also has 5 grandchildren. One of her grandchildren, Elizabeth Lopes, was a bridesmaid at the wedding of William and Kate. 19. Camilla is passionate about animal welfare. She has 2 rescue dogs. She adopted Beth, a Jack Russell in 2011, and Bluebell, also a Jack Russell, a year later from South London's famous Battersea Dogs and Cats home, where she is a frequent visitor. 20. She is a distant cousin of Madonna and Celine Dion.